Hey there, this is Ina from Taproot Tarot, and I'm back with another fun reading exercise. This is the tag Does the Deck Matter by Tarot Magpie, and it was Cara Tarot who alerted me to this one when I did her tag Does the Question Matter. This was the variation that inspired that tag, and I thought I'd give it a try. Last night I was playing with some cards and tried this out with these 3 decks. I thought I would get some practice before doing it for real on camera, and then I ended up really liking the results, so I'm just going to go ahead and reuse the cards that I chose last night. They, at first, don't appear to be the best spread to answer the question that I chose, but then once I started working with them, I really enjoyed the differences that I found between these 3 decks. So I thought instead of doing it over again, I'm not the fastest reader, I'm still definitely learning how to read on the fly. So rather than pausing my camera and staring at the cards all over again, I will just go ahead and try to recreate the spread that I had last night. I'm hoping I'll remember some of the cool insights I had, and you know what, if I don't, I'll come up with new ones, so we'll see how it goes. The 3 decks that I've chosen are the Squid Cake Marseille. I hesitated on getting this deck for so long, but I'm so glad that I finally did because it is just way too cute. It's, whoops, let me just chuck it all over the room here. It's a great size for my hands. I can actually do a sideways overhand shuffle, which is nice. And I chose this in order to be a counterpart to Le Tarot de Marseille by Polka. Oddly enough, though, the expressions on their faces, even though this is cute and pink, it is also a little bit creepy. You know, we've got all these octopus arms and, you know, weird creatures. And then the expressions on the faces of the people they're not happy and cheerful and cutesy. They're actually kind of wry in a similar way that the Polka Tarot de Marseille is. So I thought that was actually pretty interesting. And I was worried maybe I would get more similar results by having those 2 decks than what I was prepared for, but that didn't turn out that way. So this is the deck that I used for Does the Question Matter? And it was new at the time, so it's still pretty new to me. And I'm just loving this deck. I've been like craving it. It's just the correct vibe for these times, I think. But it does have, you know, some cartoon violence in it for sure. I don't think any of the cards that I chose for today are particularly disturbing, but some of the cards in this deck are a little bit off-putting, which I think is just appropriate for the times we're living in, honestly. Then I brought back Le Tarot Archétypal. I've featured this on my channel before. It's an absolutely gorgeous deck by the tattoo artist Dystopia Tinta. And I'm going to lay these cards out according to their size, just so I can put one set right on top of the other. So let's start with the Squid Cake Marseille. I'll be using the same spread, the same cards, and the same question, just different decks. And I will be, again, using this 2000 Tarot Practice Questions to choose my question. And this is, like I said, the one that I chose last night. And this is Tammy. What is the one thing I could do for myself to help me heal my broken heart? All right, Tammy, what is the one thing I could do for myself to help me heal my broken heart? And when I do these these practice questions, I really just treat it as if it's a real person. I like that it comes with a name, and I can visualize the person. If I were to ask a follow-up question, you know, I'll just make something up, add more information as needed. So this spread that I'm going to do is one I learned from Vincent Pitisci. He calls it both the 3-dimensional spread and the 3-point spread. So it's an expansion of a 3-card spread with the positions, the idea or current situation, the obstacle or the problem, and opportunities or solution. But then we expand the 3-card spread into a 6-card spread that is treated as if it is 3-card spreads. So I will link a video where he uses a graphic to explain this spread. And I'll also put it in my tarot reading tips from other channels playlist, but now the solution is read, or I'm sorry, the situation is read as this 3-card spread. And then the obstacle or problem is this 3-card spread. And the opportunity or solution is this 3-card spread. So these 3 are all common cards that are shared between 2 of the spreads. So we'll not only see how the reading changes when the deck changes, we'll also see how the meanings of these cards, these common cards, change when they change spread position. So for example, here, the Valet of Batons is part of the situation or idea position, but here it's part of the solution. So Tammy wants to know, what is the one thing she can do to help herself heal from her broken heart? What I'm seeing here is that she's ready to start doing the work. For me, batons are work or labor or creating something either with your hands or otherwise. And so she's ready to start doing the work, and she's looking toward this attainment of material prosperity or having everything she needs materially. In this case, I think, more than money, that has more to do with her physical well-being and maybe her household, the way, whether it's she has everything she needs in her household running smoothly. A lot of times when we are healing from a broken heart, we let some of our physical spaces and our physical body go uncared for. And so she's looking toward a goal of feeling more like she has everything that she needs. And it might be time to start collaborating with somebody for this work. She has a lot of inner healing to do, and that does take work. Maybe she can't do it alone. But once we get to this as the obstacle, she's stuck. Something's holding her back, something's blocking her from moving forward the way she wants to, toward her vision. And you can see here that she's inching forward, and the momentum is moving forward. And she's starting to do what she needs to do to attain this material well-being that she's looking for, but she's being held back, and she's being blocked. And what she doesn't have is inner strength. She doesn't have the resilience and fortitude to do this on her own. But that's okay, because the solution is, seeking out her friends, seeking comfort and community with others. This is attainment of emotional requirements that we all have. And in this card, I'm kind of seeing these leaves look a little like tongues to me. So a little bit of maybe discussion and talking through things. Maybe Tammy just needs to go out for a cathartic night of drinking with the girls. When was the last time you did that, Tammy? And so for a solution here, I'm seeing that she is ready to start this work. She is inspired and motivated, but she needs a little bit of a push. But she, this whole journey, she's kind of doing on her own. And she's having a hard time drumming up that fortitude to move forward without the help of her friends and without advice and support from others. And I can see here that she's holding what challenges her very nimbly and delicately so that these thorns don't wrap around her leg and get her caught up in her heartbreak again. So maybe it's time to just take the plunge and move forward with the help of her friends. So Tammy, go out for a night with your girls and you'll feel a lot better. Next, let's bring in the Tarot de Marseille polka. So we've got our situation. Our obstacle. And the solution. And then we've got our common cards just to add a little depth to the reading. Get these arranged so everything is on camera for you. There we go. So we're sticking with the same question. What is the one thing Tammy could do to heal from her heartbreak? But we've changed decks. So this is still the current situation here, or the idea. And here, you know, Tammy's still ready to begin the work, but she's a bit focused on the past still, looking back over her shoulder. Still moving toward this ideal that she has of attaining some material harmony. And maybe ready to collaborate with someone else on this work she needs to do for healing. And in this card, I'm seeing the wood from this work that she needs to do as the stability holding up her goal of material harmony or attainment. Whereas normally this is more flowery plant life. We've got stable branches as the foundation of this goal that she's working toward, or this future that she envisions for herself as she moves out of heartbreak. Again, though, our obstacle, we've got a roadblock here. And what's holding her back, this is interesting. This is a very different depiction of the Valet of Coins. And my very first video on this channel was one where I talked a little bit about how studying different historical decks helps me to gain insight on the meanings of the cards. And this is a perfect example of that because many times in historical decks, the Valet of Coins is depicted as being swindled by gamblers at a gambling table, or in prison, but with bags of money around him. So one way or another, not able to handle his wealth very well. And this, I think, is being depicted here as somebody who is having a hard time handling their drink. But in this case, that is a representation of their material attainments. So the problem is that Tammy isn't handling her material life very well. Her body, her home, her surroundings, and those are all difficult to manage when you are heartbroken and dealing with heartbreak. Again, she's in need of some inner strength, but look how this representation of strength is just so difficult that she's dripping with sweat. So it's been a struggle for Tammy, very much so, which is understandable. And the solution again is collaborating, you know, finding support for others. And here I'm seeing, you know, these are umbilical cords. Some people say they look intestinal, but they're actually umbilical cords, which, you know, it's a little gruesome looking, but also kind of beautiful in an odd way, in kind of a primordial way, I suppose. So I'm seeing here that she has created a core network of close friends or family or supports, but then has also built up a network of additional support structures. So she can't do this on her own. You know, she does have to build up her resilience and inner strength to move forward out of heartbreak, but she's not going to be able to do it on her own. And there are a lot of different support structures she could have. This core group of friends and family, other support, you know, maybe professional counseling, something like that. And maybe this side of the support structure is her own inspiration. You know, keeping her eye on what inspires her to move forward, even finding new work that's fulfilling and inspiring to her, to help build up her inner resilience and fortitude. So again, here the solution is seeking emotional collaboration, attaining the connections and the group of support that she needs. But in this case, we've got a few different types of support. Now let's try this with Le Tarot Archétypal. So here's the current situation, the challenge or obstacle, and the solution. And then some additional common cards to deepen the reading. Here's the current situation. Tammy wants to move forward out of heartbreak, but here I'm seeing this as a stylized tear. Falling from this eye. And she knows she has work to do. She wants to get started on the path to doing the work toward healing, to attain this material harmony that she envisions, but she's kind of hiding from it a little bit. You know, she's looking toward her goal, but not very directly. She's hesitating. And it could be time to make a choice. You know, she can either progress upward or sink downward. And the obstacle she faces, again, we've got a roadblock here. And she's looking back at this idealized version of her material world that she wants to work toward without recognizing what she's already got to work with. And she's holding herself back. Maybe she does have the strength deep down somewhere, but she's not letting it out. So the solution is to release this beast, release her strength, and move forward. And she can do that with the help of her friends. Here I see her not only being supported by her friends, but also offering support to her network. And by building up her self-worth, by offering support to others, she builds her strength and resilience to move forward out of heartbreak with the help of her support network. So as a part of the solution, this card might show her shedding those tears that she needs to shed in good company and being inspired to start on the path to healing from her heartbreak, doing the work that she needs to do. So I think you can see how when I first pulled these cards, I thought, oh, this is not a good answer to my question. I almost was tempted to do a redraw. I never do redraws. I think it's a perfectly valid option to redraw if you don't like the cards you receive, but I tend to try to work through it, and I'm glad I did. These ended up being halfway decent cards for this question. And I think it does definitely change the flavor of the reading when we change the deck, for sure, even when we're sticking to all Marseille-inspired pip decks. So I really kind of enjoy these practice readings, as awkward and laborious as they might be, while I'm still a fairly new reader and not so great at going off the top of my head. Let me know what you think. I enjoy doing them. They do help me out. And if you like watching them, I can keep making them. I really enjoyed this exercise. Thanks so much to Sylvie from Tarot Magpie for coming up with this fun exercise, and to Cara for talking about it in her Does the Question Matter video. I think this is a great way to play with our decks, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching and for going through this exercise with me. It was a lot of fun, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!